You've described yourself as a perpetual disappointment, black sheep of the family, right? Your oldest brother was what, the CEO of Indeed.com,
He was.
right? And your second brother is a filmmaker as well.
You got to check out his new movie. So he made a movie back in the late 90s called The Smashing Machine that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, well, he made a documentary about a dude named Mark Kerr called The Smashing Machine, which was like predates UFC. It was early when it was called Ultimate Fighting, and it was the mixed martial arts was primarily sanctioned in Thailand and foreign countries like that. But he made that documentary, which is now a movie starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. So my brother, I don't even know which one of my brothers is more glowed up, but it's like, to be honest with you, like my cultural contributions to hip hop kind of equal, if not dwarf, anything any one of my family's ever done. You know, like I say that in the sense of, I always said that in the sense of what I understand. Like I'm self-aware enough to know what it looks like and what people would perceive of me, as far as like, okay, this dude clearly, you know, like doesn't have the same monetary fiscal success as his other siblings. However, what I contribute culturally, I feel like my family's quite cognizant of and I'm very proud of.
Mm-hmm. So you started smoking and drinking like around the age of 12, right?
Yeah.
And at the age of 13, you get arrested for drinking 40s in the back of an In-N-Out?
Yeah, that's right.
And is In-N-Out still better than Whataburger?
Yeah, I mean, I worked at Whataburger when I was 19. I know how janky that shit is for real. You told me there's a reason why that simplified menu. First of all, you know, our food
Wait,
better.
they had that in California?
No. So this is when I was living. I was 19. I was living in Prescott, Arizona, and
oh, right.
Yeah. So that's when I worked at Whataburger. But yeah, In-N-Out, people from, there's a reason why Whataburger is not in California, but In-N-Out is creeping into more and more states, including Texas, of the United States, because it's superior cuisine.
Mm-hmm.
The Mormons blessed it. The Church of Latter-day Saints blessed In-N-Out for sure.
And then at 16, you get arrested and charged with vandalism, trespassing, and you had 3 dime bags on you. So they got you a possession, but they tried to say that you had intention to distribute, right?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, bro. Man, crazy. You know, Panda Chop ain't playing when he pull your motherfucking juvenile paperwork. No one got access to juvenile paperwork, gang. No cap.
But you end up getting sent to that juvenile facility, the Anacapa, right?
Yeah.
And what was that experience like for you?
Anacapa was hell, bro. I ain't gonna lie. Anacapa was hell. And there's a reason why that facility was shut down by the state of California. And that whole entire part of, look, to this day, I'll say this. Whatever I endured at Anacapa ain't nothing compared to the foster care system of California, particularly in Los Angeles right now, and what these kids are going through right now. And the way that it's incentivized for foster parents to be able to get money from the government, our taxpayer dollars are going to motherfucking essential like child trafficking slumlords. And that's not the entirety, but the vast majority of the system, the foster care system of Los Angeles, and the fact that things like that are even intertwined. Let me get that split player. You feel me? Yeah. Appreciate you, gang. Yeah. So, yeah.
What was your family's reaction to all of this at this time?
I mean, to be honest with you, my family was snitches, fool. Like I hate to say it like that, but they cooperated with the police. I never even said that publicly, but they cooperated with the police. You feel me?
But what I'm saying though is like, did you ever have any conversations with your parents about like why you were doing the substance, like drinking and smoking and doing these type of things?
Well, yeah, it's funny because like I realized Because here's the funny thing, right? My oldest brother, when he was talking about who was the CEO of Indeed, he had a little snafu when he was in college, right? I guess it started late high school for him. And he wound up partying too much. He was a deadhead. He's following the Grateful Dead, taking too much LSD. That winds up into harder stuff. He winds up, you feel me, eating some dog food. And he winds up going to treatment. You feel me? Like, so my family and my dad being like around Hollywood and all that, he sees so many of his homies getting strung out. It's kind of like a part of the culture.
And for your brother, it lasted for like a few years.
So it kind of fucked it. So here's the thing. It basically, when I first got caught with weed, instead of just being a G and taking the punishment, I was like, I'm addicted to drugs. So my parents started tripping on me at a young ass age about the drugs. Like, I should have been more chill about it.
But when you went to Anacapa, that situation was like a terrible situation because it was almost like a drug boot camp for you, right?
Well, yeah, it was more than that. It was the fact that it's essentially the juvenile version of privatized prisons. Like a lot of privatized prisons, right? Like,
right.
They do the same thing, but for juveniles. And you're essentially, if you're convicted of a crime, you're essentially a property of the state at that point. And for me, it was, well, I want to go to Los Padrinos or one of these super janky juvenile facilities, or have a chance to get out in 2 months and just go to a little drug program, because that's what they caught, like you said, they caught me for trespassing, vandalism, and I had a few little bags of weed on me, right? But they call that possession to distribute, because this is intent to distribute, this is 1998. And marijuana is still, heavily stigmatized, and it doesn't have the same people. It has way more gravity. People looked at it like, real drugs or whatever. So I wound up getting, they knew I was just tagging for real, but they throw all that at me as a chance to go to this program. I take the program, but when you over there, they can kind of do at you what they want. You feel me? So kids are getting done real janky over there for real,
And then you meet a girl during that time that became your first real like relationship, and you guys kind of like bonded over your traumas.
Well, yeah, we was talking through the toilets and shit, you feel me? And then I wound up hooking up with Shorty, and yeah, like she was like, I guess you could say she was my first real love for real. You feel me? She was her. She wound up leaving me for a 25-year-old with a Mercedes, but I guess that was like part of the course. She was 16.
Wow. So what hard drugs did you move on to after that situation?
Oh, being at Anacapa is essentially drug boot camp. I was privy to, first of all, Dr. Lewis and Bill Hoban K. Fuck the people that ran that place. Fuck whatever they got going on. Like, I don't want to get you lapped or sued. You feel me? This is what's the word? You feel me? Alleged. But that whole place was janky on. And being over there, being in juvie in general is like, a summer camp for the bad kids. Is you gonna learn about all the other shit that's cracking off in the other sides of town. This is like pre-social media. So it really gave me like way more connections, and I learned more about drugs. So of course, like you kind of like, I'd already dabbled a little bit, but then like once I got home from Anacapa, because at Anacapa, they're drug testing you, so you can't really get too busy. You're able to take what you get prescribed, or if you wild out, they'll give you Seroquel. If you really wild out, they're gonna show you Thorazine, aka that booty juice. You don't want that shit because you're gonna hallucinate for like your day and a half, and you feel me in a padded room smeared with shit. But you don't want them 7-point restraints or any of that. You feel me? But I had we were doing whatever we could to get high, like making ourselves hyperventilate. It's kind of like doing nitrous. We were like making ourselves hyperventilate. So I remember, because we had the radio, so certain fools had the radio, And I was borrowing the homie's radio, and that song, his 1998 song, right? So that Fat Boy Slim song, check it out now. It's the funk soul, brother. It's a Lord Finesse sample. You feel me? So I was like, oh shit, it's Lord Finesse on the radio. I didn't know it was like a Fat Boy Slim song or whatever, but yeah. So I had the radio and I made myself hyperventilate, and I remember like depriving the oxygen of my brain, and just like I went to my room to do it as to where I guess I was off camera. So when I did it, that made me we had to do what we had to do to get high. We also snorted the ceiling, which was like, it was, the bungee ceiling, like the kind of bungee.
The popcorn ceiling?
Yeah, the popcorn ceiling.
Yeah.
So you would use like the top of a shaving cream cans and scrape it, and then bunch that up and snort it. And so we were doing that. I got caught doing it, but for some reason, like the guard, he was an Hell's Angel named Fish. Shouts to bro. He didn't tell on me, because I would have gotten the placement hole and probably got my booty hole played with or some weird shit. Who knows? But yeah, dude. So when I came home, I was on drug testing. So I was just doing whatever wouldn't get drug tested. So like inhaling or LSD and drinking hella much. But as soon as I was done with that, hell yeah, I'm doing the strongest drugs you could give me.
What was it about drugs that was so alluring to you? Like, did you feel triggers that made you want to forget about things that each time before you took something?
I think that, maybe on like a psychological level, there could be something there. I think it was more so just how normalized it was, particularly in like West LA, being around there, and the fact that, by the time I was in my late teens, 16, 17, 18, I was deep into the graffiti scene and tag banging and trying to MC and all that. And it was a big part of taking drugs, was just like it was looked at as like a psychedelic thing. Like, oh, you're doing something artistic, and people had this really weird, there's a period of time where it got misconstrued. And I think a lot of people from LA will know what I'm talking about, in the late 90s, where people just thought that they couldn't really tell the difference between heroin and LSD.
Right. So you got expelled from like 3 different high schools, right?
Sure did.
So what happened with that?
So first I got the Fonz's son drunk from private school, and I got expelled. He threw up in art class. Then I got caught smoking weed right outside of uni, around the parking lots. One of my homies' pops was literally caught me himself. He was the vice principal. So I don't say his name, but IYK. And then I went to the continuation version of that school, wound up getting expelled from there for getting into it for like on some graffiti shit. And then I wound up graduating from charter school. And I did that because the secretary was not much older than me. And we were both like 18. And she helped me cheat. Plus, she blessed the player with that dome. So that's why you can never argue that bad bitches give the best. You feel me? Like, Anna is proof of concepts. Like, I still miss the dome. She was a legend. She got a terror because of me.
Oh, you're crazy, man. From the ages of 16 to 19, you were in like 10 different treatment centers, in and out of so many relationships with different girls during that time. When I've heard you tell your story, it seems like you couldn't stay sober or single long enough to focus on yourself and figure out how to overcome your struggles during that time.
I guess Disney fucked me up, bro. Like, I thought that we were supposed to be with a bitch, you feel me? So, like, I always was chasing that relationship. I was chasing that idealized image. And I think that's like for sure not just the Italian, but the Jewish side. Like people are always like, so do you have a girlfriend? Is she pretty? Like that's just like so indentured that even if you're fucked up, if you have a bad bitch, you can't be doing that bad. So I guess I was always relationship hopping / babe stationing / being a homosexual, you feel me, being, because my parents actually were on my helmet enough to give a fuck. Plus, once you enter the system in LA, they had this thing called Action, which a lot of the kids from West LA remember. If you were in the late 90s, like you had basically all the bad kids, all the kids that had gone to junior club diversion program had to go to Action, which was like several times a week. It was, like group therapy, but it was all the bad kids of the West Side. So all kinds of shenanigans would occur. So yeah, like, and I was in and out of different treatment centers. They tried to contain me, but they couldn't.
You've described your home as loving and your parents were loving, but I've also heard you describe your childhood as a bit lonely. And in the later years, you were very desperate for acceptance and for a romantic relationship, right? What do you think that all of this stemmed from?
Well, I think that when I was on Soft White Underbelly and I said, like, I made this comment of like, oh, I just really want validation. I think that's kind of what was being spoon fed to me by my therapist at the time, and what a lot of people might have kind of misinterpreted. And I think that there's truth. All humans seek validation, but I think it was really, when I really look back and to this day, is way deeper than seeking validation. It's truly seeking fulfillment as a human being and purpose, which is way deeper than just validation and other people's perspective of me. It's me feeling okay within myself. And I think that, a lot of people talk about the God-sized hole or whatever that emptiness that they experienced is, and however they filled it, and drugs and alcohol plus hip hop plus relationships plus whatever pursuit I had at the time, whatever passion I had at the time, definitely took precedence in that regard for sure. However, it's kind of how I was raised to be, watching my dad going from movie to movie, and just everyone in my family going from project to project. That's what always took precedence and was valued. And that's kind of what I value. So it's seeking fulfillment and it's fulfilling my destiny, Do you feel like, what do you feel like? Because I feel like those statements definitely struck a chord with a lot of people. What did you interpret from them?
Well, I can also understand what you're saying with, like, when you're in therapy, when you're in a vulnerable space, sometimes it's easy to believe these people that are considered specialists and what they're saying to you, for you to kind of connect the dots and make sense of certain things. And over time, you might realize that, that's not what it really is. A lot of times in medical fields, or whether it's, psychology, or even just like, being a doctor and stuff like that, people learn only about a couple of things and then they try to apply it as a blanket statement to like everybody or something. You know what I mean? Like, so it's not a one size fits all type of situation. I can see though
a real drive-through diagnosis.
Yeah. I can see though that you're in two different places in your life from when you did that interview where you were talking about those things. You seemed a lot more introspective at the time.
Well, no, I feel like I'm still very introspective. I just feel like the way that it manifested at the time was a lot more sensitive and I'm a bit more callous at this point.
Right, right. That was what I was gonna get to.
But because I'm still very introspective, I don't want to get that misconstrued.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I definitely get the point that you were saying about that situation, you know, but it's crazy when you start to do therapy or you start to analyze certain situations in your life and try to make those connections of why you end up making certain decisions in your life. You know what I mean? When you're like connecting all the dots.
No, for sure.